My sister Ivy took weight loss pills while pregnant. She wanted to enter a Most Beautiful Pregnant Woman contest. Our whole family tried to stop her, but she insisted she was taking a Bodhisattva pill. She believed the Bodhisattva would bless her and the baby. As a doctor, I repeatedly advised her against it. After she stopped the pills, everyone in her family was healthy and ailment-free. Yet, every single difficulty they faced afterward, they blamed on me. If it weren't for you, our whole family would have been blessed by the Bodhisattva. We wouldn't be suffering like this. My nephew, Kenny, even blamed his failures in school and relationships on me. His hatred grew so intense that he strangled me to death with his own hands. My brother-in-law, Charles, wanting to protect them, made it look like I had hanged myself as a suicide. But he had no idea that Kenny wasn't his biological son. Because of that revelation, he died, and I opened my eyes again. I had been reborn. I saw my parents and Charles trying to convince Ivy not to take weight loss pills. Ivy was holding the bottle of Bodhisattva pills, boasting, "I've been taking the Bodhisattva pills for 2 years now. The Bodhisattva will protect me and the baby. What's wrong with weight loss pills? Show me another pregnant woman who stays as slim as I do." She even said she'd give the Bodhisattva pills to her baby after birth. My parents and Charles were terrified, gently trying to persuade her. How can you take drugs with an unknown origin, especially while pregnant, let alone giving them to a child? What if the baby is born with a deformity? Ivy snorted dismissively. What do you people know? These are Bodhisattva pills I got from the temple. Taking them means the Bodhisattva will protect me. My baby will be healthier and smarter. Celeste, you're a doctor. Look at this. Are these Bodhisattva pills full of nutrients? Even experts are using them. As she spoke, she handed me the plastic bottle. I didn't even have time to react. In my previous life, she had asked me the same thing in front of our parents. I was truly worried about her. Immediately, I launched into a scientific explanation. I've seen too many patients ruined by these unregulated, unlabeled, uninspected drugs. Forget nutrients, they're full of hormones. Even a normal person taking them long-term can damage their internal organs, let alone a pregnant woman taking so many. It can easily cause fetal deformities, leading to all sorts of congenital diseases in the child. Ivy's face darkened, but she didn't refute me. She finally listened, and Mother strictly monitored her, not letting her take any more pills. My nephew Kenny was born safely and grew up healthy, but I never imagined that every difficulty he faced later in life would be blamed on me by Ivy. From failing exams, falling during a race, to not winning a lottery ticket. Ivy would whisper to him, "It's all your aunt's fault." If you had taken the Bodhisattva pills with your mother since childhood, both mother and child would have been blessed, and everything would have succeeded. It's because you harmed us, harmed our whole family. Kenny believed it wholeheartedly. From a young age, he hated me. Growing up, he blamed me for his academic and romantic failures. Until one night, I brought study materials to his house. As soon as I walked in, he used a clothes hanger to strangle me. He murdered me. His home camera recorded the entire process. They immediately destroyed the footage and moved my body back home, pretending I had committed suicide by hanging due to overwhelming work pressure. My mother hugged my corpse, crying until she choked, but still whispered in my ear, "Celeste, you didn't leave me any grandchildren. Just rest in peace, don't bother your sister anymore." My soul hovered above, hearing her hoarse cries, yet I still felt a pang of sorrow. This was my mother. She knew everything but never told anyone, just because Ivy gave her a grandson. Now, under my mother's expectant gaze, I opened my mouth and said, "If a professional expert has confirmed the medicine, then it's certainly not a problem." My sister huffed in satisfaction. "See, even Celeste says so. What are you all so scared of?" I subtly curved my lips into a smile. What kind of child will Ivy give birth to this time? Mother pulled me into a room, her voice full of blame. "Why didn't you try to stop her? How can a pregnant woman take so many random pills?" I blinked. "The experts confirmed it's fine. Besides, she's not a child anymore. She knows what she can and can't eat." Of course, the prerequisite was that the expert my sister mentioned was actually an expert, but I knew perfectly well that expert was just a name borrowed by the drug company, a celebrity endorsement to build trust. My mother was still uneasy. True, if an expert says so, it shouldn't be wrong, but I've never heard of a pregnant woman trying to lose weight. Please persuade her one more time. My sister made it very clear. She was losing weight for her figure. My brother-in-law, Charles, loved Ivy very much. He didn't care that she gained weight due to hormones during pregnancy. He even took extended leave to stay home and care for her. But Ivy wasn't losing weight for herself, it was for another man. I listened to Mother and went to the living room to advise Ivy. Mother said, "Don't take those weight loss pills anymore, they're not good for the baby." Ivy glanced at me. "Sister, Mother doesn't understand, but don't you understand either?" She showed me a video of a beauty contest for pregnant women. "Look, all pregnant women are losing weight now. I used to take these pills to get thin before, and there were no side effects at all." I looked at the video. Pregnant women in revealing clothes writhed in front of the camera, and I felt utterly disgusted. In my previous life, I had also discovered Ivy wanted to enter this competition. I had pleaded with her many times, and she had listened to me and given up, but then she said, "Sister, I've gained weight and my clothes don't fit. Buy me new clothes. If you don't let me lose weight, what am I supposed to wear now?" My mother agreed with her, so I had no choice but to buy them. She insisted that pregnant women should wear the most luxurious designer clothes. One outfit after another, even the newborn clothes for my nephew were bought with my money. Every time I wanted to settle accounts, Mother would say, "We're family, why be so calculating? They'll be grateful to you." And so, most of their family's expenses were borne by me. My nephew wore clothes I bought, ate food I provided, and then used my clothes hanger to strangle me to death. This time, I would never get involved in Ivy's life again. I feigned surprise looking at the pregnant women in the video, then turned to Ivy. "Wow, everyone keeps their figure so well. You do too, you're even slimmer than some of them." Ivy confidently lifted her head. "That's because I started taking these pills to maintain my figure from the 4th month. Just wait until I win the prize, then let's see what Mother has to say." A month later, Ivy gave birth. My mother called me, crying, telling me to quickly find a good doctor for my nephew. She said Ivy had given birth to a small, skinny boy with only one ear. This result was both surprising and not surprising to me. Because Ivy had used so many hormone-containing drugs during pregnancy, it was hard for the child not to have problems. When I arrived, I heard Ivy's screams from outside the door. "No way, this isn't my child. You've hidden my child. Take this monster away." Ivy frantically pushed my mother, who was holding the baby, without even a glance at her son. "Enough, Ivy." Charles looked at the baby, his face changing color. "I told you not to take those pills, but you insisted. You even rubbed stretch mark cream all over your belly, now look what happened." To avoid causing more trouble, I shed a few tears, leaning on Mother's shoulder and crying. "Yes, I warned you, weight loss pills are harmful to the baby." Only now did the doctor understand everything we had been saying. It was no wonder Ivy had always made excuses not to go for prenatal checkups. Mother and Charles thought she was going, but she was actually going somewhere else. A nurse took the baby for examination. My mother held a now silent Ivy, weeping like rain. I watched everything coldly, for it had only just begun. The baby's examination results showed a congenital defect, no right ear, and the remaining left ear's condition was uncertain, possibly with hearing loss. The doctor suggested waiting until the child was 6 years old for surgery. The older the child, the more serious the impact. But when Ivy woke up, she said, "My child is blessed by the Bodhisattva. He'll recover without surgery." I knew that whether Ivy got surgery for her son or not, this child would incur enormous medical expenses in the future. Learning from the painful lessons of my previous life, I used all my money to buy a new house outright. Before Ivy gave birth, I had proactively told Mother, "Mom, I got scammed over the phone. All the money in my account was transferred. The police said the chances of getting it back are almost zero. Now I don't even have money for food. Can you give me some living expenses?" But I didn't expect Mother to not only refuse me a single penny, but also point her finger at my face and scold me. "I raised you day by day for nothing, and I even paid for your education. And you're so stupid, I don't have money for you. Your sister just gave birth to a son. Money is needed everywhere. Look at you, no man needs you. Aren't you ashamed?" Hearing Mother say those words, I found it amusing. Whether in this life or the last, everything I did for her, all the retirement money I sent her, wasn't worth as much as the son Ivy gave birth to. My sister named her son Kenny, meaning golden child beside the Bodhisattva. But Kenny not only had a congenital defect of lacking an ear, but his health was also extremely fragile. Jaundice, eczema, conjunctivitis, he suffered from everything. And Ivy, all day long, would point fingers at the nurses in the hospital, demanding they not prescribe medicine for Kenny. "You people just want to extort money? The illness will be gone in a few days. Why do we need such expensive medicine?" She even secretly put the Bodhisattva pills into Kenny's milk. In my previous life, I discovered it and stopped her in time, but my own fate was tragic. This time, I didn't even bother to step into the hospital room. My mother, worried that Kenny's illness would never heal, reluctantly dug into her own pockets to pay for the medicine and even had to bow and apologize to the nurses. Finally, Kenny's eczema gradually subsided. Seeing this, Ivy believed even more strongly in the Bodhisattva pills. She constantly posted on social media with photos of a tiny, skinny Kenny. Other people's children take medicine for half a month and their eczema doesn't get better. But my child, blessed by the Bodhisattva, recovered in just a few days. The people who saw her posts included not only family members, but also followers who believed in the Bodhisattva pills. The drug seller even commented below, "Disciple Ivy's devout faith is an example for everyone. The young disciple will be increasingly lucky, and the Bodhisattva will protect her whole family." She proudly declared that she would continue taking the Bodhisattva pills and even convinced her husband to take them too. Not long after, Charles sent me a message. "Celeste, are those Bodhisattva pills Ivy talks about really safe to take?" I casually messaged back, "The experts have reviewed all these pills." Then I added, "Oh, by the way, you're blood type A, right? Why is Kenny's blood type B?" I attached a photo of Kenny's health report with the blood type section enlarged. Ivy is also blood type A, so it must be some mistake. Or maybe one of you carries a rare recessive gene for blood type B. It's rare but possible. On the other side of the screen, it kept showing, typing, but no message was ever sent. My brother-in-law, Charles, outwardly seemed as gentle as a monk, but his mind was extremely sharp. Give him even a small clue, and he would pursue it to the very end. I had just peeled back a corner of the truth. I didn't believe he wouldn't be suspicious. I applied for a job transfer and was busy every day until late. And just like that, 6 years passed. Kenny was now old enough for surgery. Meeting him again at a New Year's gathering, I was a little surprised. Compared to my previous life, Kenny this time was completely different. A 6-year-old boy, short and stout, with sparse hair, sallow skin, and dark circles under his eyes. I called his name, but he didn't react, just stood there blankly. Ivy still held his hand, proudly showing him off to relatives. "Look at our Kenny. Blessed by the Bodhisattva, he's fair-skinned, plump, and smart. He's about to enter the best elementary school in the city." My mother pulled me aside and whispered, "Help me with something. Kenny's grades are okay. You know the principal of that school, help him get in." In my previous life, I had dedicated myself to tutoring Kenny and even brought gifts to the principal just to help him get enough points to enroll. From elementary school to university, I tutored him and ran around for him. Even on the last night, I brought study materials to his house right after an exhausting shift. And that very night, he killed me with his own hands. Before my last breath, I heard him whisper in my ear, "If it wasn't for you harming me, if I wasn't blessed by the Bodhisattva, I wouldn't have had to take so many detours. If I had listened to Mom and taken the Bodhisattva pills, I would have passed Central University a long time ago." All the study resources I provided him, all the time I spent tutoring, were detours in his eyes. I had worked tirelessly, helping him get into a prestigious university. Yet it was nothing compared to what his mother had whispered in his ear since childhood. "Central University is the best." Thinking of this, I smiled at Mother and said, "Mom, why do you say that? Kenny is blessed by the Bodhisattva. What's so great about an entrance exam, right?" As I spoke, I looked towards Ivy. She gave me a disdainful glance, then hugged Kenny's leg and loudly declared, "Of course. Kenny will definitely be the top scorer for everyone to see." Everyone around us congratulated her, and I was no exception, because I wanted to see what kind of results a child blessed by the Bodhisattva would achieve. On the day the scores were announced, Ivy deliberately called the whole family over for a big feast. "Today the scores are out. Everyone, let's see Kenny's scores." Ivy eagerly opened her phone but didn't see Kenny's name at the top of the list. Seeing Kenny's pale face, I almost laughed out loud. Ivy searched for a long time and finally found Kenny's name at the bottom of the list. He failed all 3 subjects. He only got 20 points in English. Ivy repeated, no way, it must be a mistake." How could Kenny only get 20 points? She stood up, walked across the living room, then came back, continuously refreshing the score page. From childhood, Kenny had been forced to eat Bodhisattva pills every single day, every meal. Now he was morbidly obese and severely malnourished. He already had hearing loss since birth, and the side effects of the pills further worsened his left ear. It would be a miracle if he could study well. I heard that at school, Kenny couldn't hear what the teacher was saying, but Ivy didn't know or didn't care. After thoroughly confirming the scores, she ran up to me. "Celeste, you know the principal, right? Call him and ask if there's a mistake with the scores." I rolled my eyes internally. "I don't have the principal's phone number. I'm just an alumna of the school. If you say know him, then everyone who graduated knows his face." My mother looked at Ivy reproachfully, then pulled my arm and whispered, "You're an alumna after all, or we could send some gifts to the principal." Ivy seemed to have an idea, grabbing Charles's hand and pulling him, her voice changing. Right, Charles, go buy some things for my sister to take to the principal." Before she could finish, Charles, who had been silent until now, slapped Ivy directly across the face. Her face immediately swelled up. She stared at Charles in shock. "Why did you hit me?" He glared angrily, throwing a stack of papers at her. "You cheated on me. It's perfectly reasonable for me to beat you to death." After speaking, he kicked her in the stomach. Ivy was about to resist, but when she saw the papers scattered on the floor, she fell silent, her face clearly distraught. My mother quickly intervened. I picked up the most important paper, feigning surprise and shouting, "Kenny isn't Charles's son? How can this be?" It turned out that after the blood type incident, Charles had secretly done a DNA test with Kenny. The result was as I had guessed. The golden child's biological father was not him. Charles, who was normally mild-mannered, was so enraged that veins popped out on his forehead. Ivy covered her swollen face, not saying a word, only my mother's pleas remained. The living room was in chaos. I glanced at Kenny, who stood stunned in the corner of the room. This was the straight path he had wanted. I had long suspected Ivy's infidelity in my previous life. She didn't work, had no friends, never went for prenatal checkups, yet her pregnant belly was often out and about. I almost entirely covered the child's expenses. Charles also transferred money regularly every month, but she secretly asked my mother for more money. After I died, she took all my assets, claiming it was for Kenny to get married. But the truth was, she was supporting a young man 8 years her junior. My soul followed her for a few days and learned that his name was Daniel. He was still in college, and Ivy had known Daniel for a long time. All of Daniel's entertainment and spending money was paid for by Ivy. Even the most beautiful pregnant woman contest was Daniel's idea to push Ivy to participate. He told her, "Sister, you're so beautiful with such a perfect figure, no one can compare. It was a real pity you didn't compete last time. You'll definitely win if you get pregnant a second time." The two of them were wildly intimate. Charles would surely become the father of Daniel's second child before long. Daniel knew the organizers of the Most Beautiful Pregnant Woman contest, a group of perverts with peculiar tastes. He had also secretly filmed intimate videos of Ivy many times and sold them for money. Unfortunately, Ivy had no idea. She was even deeply immersed in it. This life, without me to stop her, Ivy actually participated in the Most Beautiful Pregnant Woman contest. And the result? She came home and didn't say a word to anyone, which told me everything. Excessive weight loss during pregnancy had led to a misaligned fetus. She was skin and bones, not to the taste of those people. Daniel had a huge fight with Ivy over this. Ivy had no choice but to transfer money to him again and again, hoping he would come back. With no money left, she was forced to cut down on expenses for her child, switching from good quality milk to inferior brands. But she never forgot to add the Bodhisattva Pills and personally spoon-fed them to Kenny. Kenny had poor hearing from childhood, but Ivy crammed him with undeserved self-confidence, just like in my previous life, making him trust his mother's words absolutely. With the Bodhisattva's blessing, Kenny will succeed in everything he does. Whether in front of family or classmates, Kenny always repeated that phrase. As a result, he became an eccentric at school. His classmates all saw him as a strange child. No one believed his stories about the Bodhisattva. "Look, here comes Kenny again." "Has your Bodhisattva arrived today?" The boys laughed and teased behind Kenny's back. "You have to speak louder. Kenny's deaf, he can't hear anything. Ha ha ha, Kenny, you're a golden cage." The matter reached the teacher, who could not ignore the bullying. After class, he called Kenny into his office privately to comfort him. "Kenny, I'm sure it makes you sad when your friends say those things, right? Don't worry, I'll talk to them." To his surprise, Kenny snorted disdainfully. "No need. It's because of teachers like you that you raise such useless students. My mother says I'm blessed by the Bodhisattva. I don't need anyone to worry about me." The teacher was shocked and could no longer manage him. After the affair was exposed, Charles furiously beat Ivy within an inch of her life. My mother couldn't intervene and had to call the police. Ivy was taken away by ambulance. Charles was escorted away by the police. My mother took Kenny to the hospital to care for him. I rarely had peace, so I showered and went to bed early. In the middle of the night, someone knocked on my door. I looked through the peephole and saw a tiny figure standing outside. "Auntie, can you let me in?" I opened the door, looking at Kenny's sallow face, a mix of emotions in my heart. If he were just an innocent child destroyed by his family, I wouldn't hesitate to help. In my previous life, I really did help him for over a decade. But what was the result? He strangled me to death with his own hands, watching me writhe in his grip without a shred of hesitation. He truly didn't know who genuinely cared for him. I didn't let him into the house but called my mother. "Kenny ran away from the hospital and came here. If you don't find him soon, you'll be worried." Hearing my call, Kenny rolled his eyes impatiently. "Auntie, Grandma said you were scammed out of all your money. Is that true?" I sighed. "It's true." I thought he would offer some comfort, but instead he mocked me. "Auntie is so stupid. What's the point of going to university? It must be because the Bodhisattva didn't bless you." I just gave a slight, silent smile. Because I had long known what kind of person he was. I sat with him on the steps, waiting. To my surprise, the person who arrived was not my mother, but Ivy. Her face bruised and battered, she ran over, wanting to hug Kenny, but he dodged her. "Kenny, what's wrong? Come home with Mom." Kenny pushed Ivy's hand away with disgust. "Don't touch me. It's all your fault. Why aren't I Dad's son?" Ivy froze, looking at her son as if he were an enemy. "If I were Dad's son, I wouldn't have turned out like this." The words struck a raw nerve, and Ivy went berserk, grabbing Kenny's hand and shouting, "You ungrateful wretch, I raised you. What is Charles to you? It's all your fault. Don't touch my child." Kenny tugged hard on Ivy's hair. Ivy cried out in pain and pushed him hard, sending Kenny tumbling down the stairs. Kenny fell and suffered a broken right femur and a fractured skull, requiring long-term hospitalization. However, his immune system was severely damaged, leading to acute kidney failure during the emergency. He now required dialysis. Before the doctor could finish, Ivy interrupted, "Nonsense. My son is blessed by the Bodhisattva. How could he have kidney failure? You people just want to trick us out of money." She turned to me and yelled, "Celeste, do you people in this hospital only know how to suck patients dry?" The doctor looked at me with a helpless gaze. I could only force a smile, indicating my exasperation. Ivy saw the exchange of glances between me and the doctor, and it was as if she suddenly realized something. She pointed at my face and shrieked, "Celeste, you're doing this on purpose, aren't you? You're conspiring with the doctors to trick me out of money. This is your own nephew." "How can you curse your own nephew like this? You wicked woman!" Her screams echoed throughout the hospital ward. The on-duty nurse rushed over to check the situation. Before I could even speak, my mother could not take it anymore and slapped Ivy. "Enough! Doctor, how much does dialysis cost? I'm his mother, I'll pay. Even my own mother hit me. Don't pay, I'll pray to the Bodhisattva for Kenny, he'll definitely get better." The argument caused Kenny, who was in a coma, to regain consciousness, but he was too weak to speak, only able to look at me with pleading eyes. I called security and had Ivy escorted out of the room. Charles filed for divorce. Ivy cursed him for not saving their son. She ran to his company, causing a scene, and was also thrown out by security. My mother used her pension to pay for Kenny's dialysis. The daily hospital fees were like flowing water. How could her pension be enough? She came to me again. "Celeste, Kenny's dialysis costs too much. He's your nephew, like your own son. Please help a little." I took a deep breath, suppressing my anger. "Mother, I already told you I have no money. I'm currently in debt for over 10 million. My mother snapped, "Celeste, I raised you, I gave you a proper education. Now you're a big doctor and I ask for a little money and you won't even give it to me?" I let out a cold laugh. "Yes, you raised me. If you needed money for yourself, I would gladly give it. But Kenny is Ivy's son. Why don't you go ask her for the money?" My mother's face contorted with anger, looking at me with intense hatred. "How can you say that? Ivy is your sister. It's only natural for you to help her. Why are you so stingy with your own sister? When did I raise you to be such a cruel person?" It turned out that in her heart, I had to give all the money I earned for Ivy to spend. Ivy was her good daughter, and I was just a tool to make Ivy happy. I had no obligation to raise Ivy's child for her. I brushed her hand away and left the room. My mother and Ivy scraped together some money to get Kenny admitted. In the room, there were a few other children who were very curious when they saw Kenny with only one ear. Mommy, why does that friend only have one ear? Yeah, and he's so fat and his hair is thin. So funny. A mother glanced at Kenny, then coldly at Ivy. His mother probably wasn't careful during pregnancy. I was very careful when I was pregnant with my children. That's why they were born healthy. The voice wasn't loud, but it was enough for Ivy to hear. She could only sit still, every gaze, every whisper like a needle pricking her face and heart. Being a prideful person, Ivy couldn't stand it. What nonsense are you talking about? My Kenny is the Bodhisattva's golden child. She suddenly stood up, pointing and scolding the children. It's because we're sharing a room with unlucky kids like you that my Kenny isn't getting better. You kids should be the ones who are sick. You'll all get kidney failure, just wait and see. Another mother heard this and angrily stood up, having a loud argument with Ivy. In the midst of the quarrel, Kenny weakly pleaded, "Please stop fighting." But no one paid attention to him. For 3 days straight, my mother and Ivy didn't come to see me. I felt a little uneasy. That afternoon, the neighbor, Mrs. Smith, called me. "Is everything all right, Mrs. Smith?" Her voice was low on the phone. "Celeste, have you argued with your mother again? I saw your mother and your sister with a locksmith. They forced open your door." I immediately flared up. "Thank you, Mrs. Smith. I'm coming right home." On the way back, I checked the surveillance camera in my house, but the screen was black. Someone had covered it with something. I immediately called the police. When the police and I arrived, my mother and Ivy were still rummaging through my bedroom. My mother saw the police and blocked them, refusing to let them in. "What's wrong with me entering my daughter's house? Is that against the law? Don't you people have parents? Don't you let your parents into your homes?" The police officers' faces darkened at her scolding. Then she pointed at me and yelled, "How dare you call the police on your own mother? Aren't you ashamed? How can there be such an unfilial child in this world?" I gave a cold laugh and pointed at the covered camera. What kind of mother covers the camera before coming to her daughter's house? Only thieves do that. Hearing me say that, my mother immediately collapsed onto the floor, crying and wailing. "You unfilial child, you even call your own mother a thief." The police saw her like this and found it awkward to act. They could only look at me helplessly. I said, "If you say you're not thieves, then let them search you. Do you dare?" I was done with her. I took out my phone and started recording a video. The police searched Ivy and found my pearl necklace and gold jewelry. My mother, meanwhile, clung tightly to my house deed, refusing to let go. "Your nephew is dying. Police, do something. How can you stand by and watch a child die? If you sell your house, Kenny will be saved." She spoke as if she were in the right. "Kenny is dying. How can you bear to watch such a good child die from illness?" I ignored her justifications, and with the police's help, I easily retrieved my house deed. So, Mother intends to sell the house I worked for over a decade to buy, just to treat Kenny's illness. I looked directly into my mother's eyes, searching for a hint of remorse or regret, but there was none. She only said, "Money can be earned back, but once a person dies, they're truly gone." Ivy was detained by the police for a few days. I retrieved my house deed. The first thing I did was contact a real estate agent. I wanted to sell this house. After Ivy was released, she frantically tried to contact Daniel. Unfortunately, he had long since vanished without a trace. She couldn't reach him no matter what. She printed out all their chat logs and transfer records and took them to Daniel's university. She put up banners right at the school gate and even posted Kenny's DNA test results, completely exposing Daniel. Daniel could no longer hide. He was forced to drop out in retaliation. He leaked all of Ivy's nude photos from her pregnancy, spreading them across social media. Charles collected evidence and sued Ivy, demanding a divorce and compensation. As for me, my hospital transfer application was finally approved. I sold my house at a low price, and it sold quickly. I changed my phone number, moved to another city, and settled into the house I had bought with cash. After I left, my mother truly had no way to earn money. Ivy also had to bear the compensation for Charles. My mother's pension wasn't enough for Kenny's dialysis expenses, so she finally had to sell her house. Day after day in the hospital, she cared for Kenny, who was barely clinging to life. If Ivy had repented, they might have been able to live on with the money from selling the house. Unfortunately, Ivy was not that kind of person. She secretly took the money my mother had saved from the house sale to treat Kenny and gave it all to the person who sold the Bodhisattva Pills, because he promised that the Bodhisattva, upon receiving the money offerings, would immediately manifest its power, and the whole family would be saved. As soon as the money was transferred, the other party immediately blocked all communication. It wasn't until this moment that Ivy finally realized she had been deceived. She reported it to the police, but the result was that money offered to the Bodhisattva was difficult to recover. In the hospital, my mother held a semi-conscious Kenny. Ivy hadn't visited her son in a long time. My mother whispered prayers, trying to force the Bodhisattva pill into Kenny's mouth. "Be a good boy, Kenny. Eat this and you'll get better. The Bodhisattva will bless you, will save you." She repeated this over and over, looking out the window, unable to see Kenny's tear-filled eyes. One night, Kenny's condition suddenly worsened. He lay in bed, vomiting large mouthfuls of blood. Not long after, he passed away. My mother had someone contact me, crying as she said, "Kenny called your name before he died." Hearing this, I only gave a faint, helpless smile. If I had softened, even for a moment, and considered saving them, I would surely have been dragged down to hell with them, and my fate would have been worse than death. As for why he called my name in his dying moments, I didn't want to know, and it no longer mattered to me. After my hospital transfer, my work progressed smoothly, no longer being hindered by family issues. I quickly settled into my new hospital and had plenty of time and peace of mind to improve myself. One day, as I was talking to a patient, I heard an argument between a patient and their family member at the next bed. "Mom, how many times have I told you those Bodhisattva pills are a scam? You can't take them." "Nonsense. Experts are all using them. There's definitely no problem." "Hurry, give them to your mother." "Oh dear, those experts are all just tricking you, Mom. They're not real experts. If you don't believe me, ask the doctor." Just then, a young woman approached me, holding a familiar plastic bottle of pills, showing it to me. "Doctor, can you help me check if this medicine is one of those three-nose drugs containing hormones? I heard it's very harmful." I took the bottle and smiled faintly. "Your family member is right. Unregulated drugs like these should absolutely not be used indiscriminately. If you're concerned, our hospital can perform an analysis of the drug's ingredients." Yes, the doctor is absolutely right. "Thank you, doctor. You're truly a good doctor." The young woman looked at me gratefully, then returned to the elderly patient's bedside, continuing to explain. "See, Mom, the doctor also said not to take them. Just listen to the doctor."